Man, it's good to see everybody. Yeah, Father's Day message. But you might be thinking, well, I'm not a dad, so maybe I need to check out. No, I think today's a great day for everybody to listen. I do have a sermon for fathers as all the little people run out. I do have a sermon for fathers today, but even if you're not a dad, maybe you think you had a terrible dad or you had a terrible relationship with your father, or maybe yours is passed on and you're like, well, this is a tough day for me. But maybe you're younger and you don't have kids. Maybe you might be a dad one day, so you need to listen. Maybe you're a young lady and you're going to marry a guy one day, and y'all's children are going to have a dad, and so it's good to pay attention. Your daughters, you may have daughters who will have kids one day, and fathers are important. I'm totally convinced that in our culture today, we do a lot of things messed up in our world, but I'm convinced that every single kid needs a good dad and a good mom, and they need to be walking with God together. We have a lot of examples in our culture today of maybe some good dads, maybe some bad dads. So we're going to play a quick game. You can do thumbs up if you think this person is a good dad, or you can do thumbs down if you think this person's a good dad. And it's basically just from TV shows that you've seen growing up. So I'm going to try to do these quick. Some of you might not know any of these, and that's okay. What about Danny Tanner, Full House? Some of y'all are like, yeah. Some of you are like, I don't know who that is. It's Bob Saget, Danny Tanner, Full House. What about Al Bundy from Married with Children? Saw some thumbs down, yeah? Thumb up over there, okay, we'll talk. What about Mike Brady? The Brady Bunch? I mean, come on. The dude was like cookie cutter flawless, right? When he was stern with the kids, he's like, I was obeying him at my house watching, yeah, Brady Bunch, right? What about Ray Campbell from Sister Sister? Did anybody watch that? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay, we got a thumbs up over there. Good. What about George Costanza's dad, Frank, from Seinfeld? Look, big thumbs down. Yeah, he was probably not the best. What about Dr. Jason Seaver from the show Growing Pains? Okay, there's some thumbs up. Yeah, if you watch Growing Pains, Dr. Jason Seaver, he was a pretty good dad. Now, it wasn't necessarily his father, so to speak, in the show, but he was a dad pretty much to everybody else. What about Philip Banks from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Got a lot of thumbs up. If you were ever watching any of these shows as a kid, was there ever a moment where you're like, man, I wish I was in their family. I wish he was my dad. Stephen Keaton from Family Ties. That's a little older. Some of y'all are like, I've never heard that. All right, we got a couple of Family Ties. What about Carl Winslow from Family Matters? Yeah, Family Matters are like that. He's a good dad. Yeah, I'll see every one of your Steve Urkel impressions later. What about Ted Wheeler? Some of you are like, who's that? So if you watch Stranger Things, Mike and Nancy Wheeler, their dad, Ted Wheeler. I don't know. Tim Taylor from Home Improvement. Good dad. Some of y'all are like, I don't know. Some days he's a good dad. Homer Simpson. Peter Griffin. Nigel Thornberry from the Wild Thornberries. I don't even know who this is. Yes? Okay. No? Yes? We got some yes, and we got some no's over here. I don't know. Don't fight. No fighting. What about Popeye? Now, Popeye, you're like, well, wait a minute. He ate a lot of spinach and beat up a lot of dudes, but was he a dad? Well, he's actually an adopted father of Little Sweet Pea. Remember Little Sweet Pea? So I don't know if he was good or bad, but he beat up the bad guys. Papa Smurf? Anybody think that Papa Smurf's like a bad father figure? I mean, come on. Was he the dad of the thousands of Smurfs? Was he the only dad? You notice everyone called him Papa? My childhood is just getting messed up. Stu Pickles from the Rugrats. I don't know. Dave from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Good dad? Alvin. George Jetson. He was good. You notice how as TV shows progress, the dads got worse and worse and worse and worse. You notice when if you watch maybe some modern shows now, the dads are just boneheads, right? They're the ones that everybody, they have a 10-year-old in the house. And the 10-year-old comes into the room and the dad's like, I don't know what to do here with this or with anything. And the 10-year-old's like, Dad, let me show you. I feel like our culture today is like taking fathers and dads and like, man, they're just throwing them down the drain. They're just flushing them. Maybe that's the progression that we see, and maybe that's what we're getting ready for. You know, I don't think. Well, I was telling Mike and Bradley earlier this week. We meet every Tuesday. I don't know if you knew that, but me and Mike and Bradley, we meet every Tuesday, and we meet for a long time, and we pray a lot for you guys. And it's one of my favorite things that happens in my week. So you have elders in this church that spend a lot of time. We lose sleep over you guys. And I was telling them that I don't know if I like preaching Father's Day, because I think that if I do anything, and my kids are in the room, if I just lay out like this is what a phenomenal father looks like, I feel like, well, I'm falling short of that. And you know, if I'm like that, then I feel like I should tell my kids who are in the room, like, hey, call me out on that. You know, I'm up here saying one thing, like, you better look at me and say, hey, I don't see that at home. Come on, step up your game, Dad. Like, that'd be pretty brave for any kid to say that, right? But I got these forms from my kids, and clearly I am a great dad. So Rain did this one. She's 19. Dad is 41. Dad has no hair and working eyes. Dad's job is attempting to get a real estate license. Thank you. Which is true. Dad's favorite food, meat. Dad's favorite treat, peach rings, little gummy peach rings. His favorite color is blue. She put a question mark. He likes to wear clothes. Dad laughs when he makes a joke. My dad is happy when things are pretty real good. I don't know if you ever heard me say pretty real good. That's what she's quoting me there. Dad gets mad when, I don't know, bro. That was her answer. Dad always says, Wadiguan, boy. I do say that sometimes. That's just French Creole. I do that to Pax. It's weird, I know. Dad calls me, and she said, sped up in a weird voice, Rain. So anytime I see Rain, I say, Rain. That's how I say Rain's name. That's what she put. My favorite thing about my dad is his ability to do new things and explore new possibilities. I love my dad because he is cool. My dad loves me because I am cool. That's Rain. Cameron, I'll save that. Pax, I don't know which one's better, Pax or... Okay, Maggie. My dad's name is Rob, R-O-B. Seriously. And she did make the mistake of putting a B there instead of a D. That's okay, I get that a lot. He has barely hair and blue eyes. My dad's job is nothing. And then she scratched that out. Like, oh, wait, he's a preacher. My dad's favorite food is candy. My dad's favorite treat is grilled stuff. My dad's favorite color is purple. My dad likes to wear the same stuff every day. My dad laughs when he makes his own jokes. I do. I think I'm pretty funny sometimes. My dad is happy when I'm around. My dad gets mad when Pax is around. This is Maggie. My dad calls me Mags and a lot of other stuff. My favorite thing about my dad is his jokes that only Dad laughs at, I guess. I love my dad because he's funny. My dad loves me because I do dad tax. Now, dad tax is when the kids get trick-or-treat or whatever like that. I charge them a dad tax, right? All right, so here's Pax. My dad's name is Rodney Vance Wallace II, which is my full name. My dad is 19 years old. My dad has non-existent hair and existent eyes. My dad's job is preacher. Dad, almost a real estate agent. My dad's favorite food is Crispix. My dad's favorite treat is his wife. My dad's favorite color is, I don't know. My dad likes to wear sleeveless shirts for his killer dad bod. My dad laughs when I'm funny. My dad is happy when I'm outside. My dad gets mad when I'm inside. My dad always says, go outside and run. My dad calls me bum. My favorite thing about my dad is he is cool, a loving dad. I love my dad because he's awesome. My dad loves me because I'm his son. Cameron. My dad's name is, he kind of calls me Rod. My dad is 4 years old. He has yellow hair and blue eyes. My dad's job is school. My dad's favorite food is chicken nuggets. His favorite treat is candy. His favorite color is yellow. My dad likes to wear Converse. My dad laughs when dinosaurs. My dad is happy when he's outside. My dad gets mad when he spanks me. It's true, I do. And because I hate spanking him. I'm mad at that. My dad always says, I love you. My dad calls me Baby Cameron. Never. My favorite thing about my dad is to kiss him. I love my dad because I love him. My dad loves me because I'm his baby. So you people in here who are fathers, you'll get this treat because my wife's doing this back there with the kids. So it's exciting to see what your kids really think about you. Now, clearly, after reading that, you know I'm a fantastic father, right? What are some traits of a great dad? I mean, obviously, you could get on the Hallmark website or whatever, and you could Google this. Good dads are supportive, they're patient, they teach their children to appreciate things, to work hard, to respect and honor others despite differences. Good fathers know how to discipline their kids. They know how to play. They know how to have really good jokes. Apparently, I'm hilarious. So real quick, I'm totally regretting this right now. Real quick, can anybody got just a couple of, I sent a message out in the group me app. Can I just get a couple of dad jokes that you got? Anybody? One over here, James.
Two guys walk into a bar, third one ducks.
Okay. That's brilliant. Thank you. Everyone's laughing. Sky, I'm reacting to your dad jokes like dad jokes get reactions, right? Okay, Sky, what you got?
What did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet?
I have no idea. Supplies. Well, don't look at me like that, Jim. You're already laughing at your own joke. All right, talk to me. What is it? What is it?
What do you call a cow that just had a calf?
Okay, what?
Decaffeinated.
Decaffeinated.
What do you call a cow with no legs?
Slow down, partner. You get one. Ground beef.
Yep.
All right, Mike. No, Mike, you can't read it. He's like, I got one.
No, I got it. What does a sprinter eat before a race?
I have no idea.
Nothing. They fast.
Okay, good. All right, moving on. Moving on. So we all know what a good dad is. A good dad is, so here's the thing. Some people will say, well, I don't really know what a good dad is because I didn't have a good father. But that's not true. We can compare growing up if you want to. We can talk about that. We can have a long conversation with that. But I was talking to Rain, my oldest. I was telling her, I was terrified. When we were pregnant with her, I was absolutely terrified because I was like, I have no idea what a good father looks like. But that's wrong. I did know what a good father was supposed to be. I just didn't maybe have that example in my life. Everybody, we really know what have a general idea of what a good dad should be. And so what about some dads in the Bible? You got Adam and Noah. Those are dads. They maybe didn't do everything right. Abraham with Isaac and Jacob, who had the 12 sons. And you have Job. Then you have the Luke 15 prodigal. And we're going to look at one specific dad today. And I hope to pull out some stuff out of the scripture today that will encourage you, but also maybe let you have a pretty good Father's Day today. Before we do that, I'm really going to ask God to help me because I think we almost got off track already. So we got to get back on track. Let's pray and ask God to help us with his word today. God, thank you for your amazing, beautiful scriptures, God, that are true and they can apply to everything in our lives. God, I pray that you would teach us something today. God, I pray that you would remind us of how you're a good father. God, I pray that you would just keep us on track as fathers, God, and give us what we need to receive today. Let us hear what we need to hear, God, and we can't do that on our own. So, Lord, we ask you to give us ears to hear and hearts to receive. We love you. We pray this in your good name. Amen. So we're going to look at a dad from the Bible, and so I want to give you some traits about this dad, and as I'm saying some of these, maybe you can kind of guess who we're going to be looking at. So he was a very honorable man. He was a faithful Jew, and he was a man of God. He was a devoted husband. He was a committed father to all of his children. He was very strong under pressure and under fire. Any thoughts yet? God came to him in dreams. And without question, every single time, he did what God told him. He didn't want to shame the one that he loved, so he wanted to quietly break the betrothal that he had with her as to not publicly make her ashamed. Joseph, right? One of the things as I was looking through this and I was thinking this week about just good fathers, I was thinking of many of the scripture examples that we have of a good father. And I just kept kind of going back to Joseph. And he's at the beginning of really the pinnacle of all Scripture, and that's when Jesus Christ, the light of the world, steps into the scene. But he doesn't even have anything recorded that he actually said. But I believe we can get a lot out of Joseph's life and what we see from him. So let's look in Matthew. First of all, we'll be in Matthew chapter 1, 18 through 25. This is the beginning. This is the birth of Jesus. So now the birth of Jesus Christ took place in this way when his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph. Before they came together, she was found to be with child from the Holy Spirit. After her husband Joseph, being a just man and unwilling to put her to shame, he resolved to divorce her quietly. But as he considered these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary as your wife, for that which is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which means God with us. Verse 24, when Joseph woke up, like some of you have woke up, man, that was a crazy dream. When he woke up, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took his wife, but he knew her not until she had given birth to a son. And he called his name Jesus. So just pay attention as we're reading some of these and just think about the quality that you see in Joseph. Just right then, right there, you see somebody that, I mean, he's a respectful person. He's not somebody that's very rash and just jumping into things. And he understands how, look, I have to consider how people around me think and before I make my actions. And we don't know a lot about Joseph. Like, we don't even get a chance to hear from him. We just find little things like that, he resolved to divorce her quietly. He's thinking over this. He's not somebody that, he's a thinker. He's not just making just some quick decision about something. I don't know if you're like that. I know some people that I can talk to them about certain things, and I'm like, all right, we'll talk later. Because I know they like to sit back and chew on it, think about it, and then later on, they got plenty of thoughts. And then you know people that you have a conversation with, and they're just jumping in with what they have to say, right? Like in the middle of you talking, they might not even be listening to what you're saying. They're already thinking about what they're about to say. And then before you really even land the plane on what your thought is, they jump in and they're jumping in with what they have to say. You know people like that? I know people like that. Well, Joseph didn't like that. Matthew 2, 13 through 15. So now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream again and said, Rise, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt. Now what's going on is they're in a situation where Herod he's ruling over the area, and he doesn't want anybody else to be called king. So he hears about this king of the Jews that's born, and he's like, I'm going to find him. In fact, you know what? I know how I can find him. I'm just going to have all the babies that have been born recently, all the boys that have been born recently, let's just kill them all. So here Joseph is thinking, I'm in this culture right now where the leadership from the top has issued a decree that every son that's been recently born is going to be killed. I have a son recently been born here. And so I don't know if you're, and this is guy, girl, whoever, I don't know if you overthink about a lot of things. You stay up late at night. If you lay down in the bed at night and you go right to sleep like my wife does, I'm kind of jealous. I don't do that. I don't get the luxury of that. My brain, I think there's some type of creature on a treadmill in my head that never stops. And I'm sympathizing with Joseph as like, okay, so what do I do? We just get this announcement. But then the Lord steps in and says, Rise, take your mother, and then flee take the mother and the child and go to Egypt. That's a long trip. He already went from one place to another all the way to Bethlehem with his pregnant, betrothed fiance. And they had to have this baby in a barn, basically. Rise, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt and remain there until I tell you. For Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him. What did he do? He wasn't like, well, I don't know, I'll spend a few nights thinking about it. It says he rose. Come on, Mary, we got to go. Where are we going? It's not good. We got to go to Egypt. Egypt? Are you kidding me? Like, we're not just going to pack up our stuff. Like, I'm like barely hanging on as it is. We have to. Herod's issued a decree that all the boys recently born will be to be found, sought out, and killed. And as the mom's heart sinks, the father's resolve rises up. Says, let's pack up what we got to get and let's go. And he arose, took the child and his mother by night, and departed to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet, out of Egypt I called my son. In Matthew chapter 2, 19 now. But when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel. For those who sought the child's life, they're dead now. And he rose and took the child and his mother and went to the land of Israel. But when he had heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he's thinking, I don't know about this. That might not be great. So he was afraid to go there. Not like, oh, no, I'm so scared. You can't say Joseph was a scaredy cat. If all you do is see, well, he was afraid to go there. If all you do is read that about Joseph, then maybe you can say, well, he was kind of a coward. But you miss what he just got through doing. In that culture, if you were betrothed to somebody and they were pregnant, like a lot of people died. A lot of people were killed because of that. So you can't look at Joseph and say, well, he wasn't very brave because it says right here he's afraid. No, you look at what's just happened. He's very brave. He looks at her and says, all right, we got to go to Bethlehem. Are you kidding me? Like, what? We have to. There's a census. I'm from the line of David, and we have to go to Bethlehem. That's what the Lord requires of us. So they take this trip, and then at night they take this trip when the baby's a little bit older, and they go to Egypt. So now he's afraid. Why is he afraid? But he's thinking. He's considering these things. He's a smart guy. He cares about his family. He wants to do what's absolute best for them. He was afraid to go there. Being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. And he went and lived in a city called Nazareth. Nobody really thinks a whole lot about Nazareth. That's why later on in Jesus' ministry, people were like, wait a minute. Aren't you that carpenter's son from Nazareth? Can anything good come out of Nazareth? No. That's what people are saying. That's how people think of Nazareth. You know? You're like, can anything good come out of Van Cleve? I mean, I'm sure. I'm not saying there's bad. It's just bad out of Van Cleve. I'm saying, like, there's certain places that people are like, can anything really good come out of Baxterville? And you don't even know where that is. So he goes and he finds this small little city called Nazareth. So that was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene. So later on, you see in Jesus' ministry, he was rejected because they're like, wait a minute, you're from Nazareth. We know that the Messiah was from Bethlehem. But they didn't realize that, well, because of a courageous earthly father, Joseph, Jesus and Mary didn't stay in Bethlehem very long. He's like, we got to make a decision. We got to do something. And he made the decision. God led him to rise up at night, pack quick, we're leaving right now. No, there's no discussion. Grab what's necessary. We got to go to Egypt. Because God led him. When we look at this quiet father, because that's what he is. Like, we don't even get any words from him. Like, I feel like when I get to heaven, Joseph's going to be kind of standing off on the side, like, just Joseph, when you read this about him, you think he's just under pressure. He's just he's easy, right? Like he thinks through things. He's this quiet father. The first thing is this quiet father of faith takes great care of his family. A quiet father in the faith. Now, when I say quiet, that doesn't mean that they just don't speak a whole lot. As I was putting this together, this idea of this quiet, faithful father, I thought to myself, I'm not quiet. Like, I'm loud and I talk a lot. Like, some of you, I sing your names. Like, when I see you, I sing your name. Like, that's not quiet. Like, I talk a lot. I run my mouth a lot. But I do really care about what I say. So when I say a quiet father of faith, I'm not saying that, okay, so if you're dad, then God wants you to not use a lot of words. He wants you to just don't talk as much. No, sometimes fathers need to say stuff. Sometimes they need to say more than they do. Sometimes they need to talk a lot, and they need to say things. But the first thing that we see with this quiet father of faith is he takes great care of his family. I love this example of Joseph. He takes incredible care of his family. He just does the absolute best with what he has in front of him. That's all he could do. And if you're a dad in here, or if you know somebody that's a dad, look, you realize that that was my fault, by the way, that from God, they're required to do the absolute best with what they have. They can't do more than what they have, but they're required from God to do the absolute best with what they have. So from going to Bethlehem to flee into Egypt, he did what he had to do. Sometimes as fathers, you have to make decisions. And sometimes people in your family look around and they're like, really? Sometimes a dad has to make a decision to take care of his family. You have to do things. Take care of your family. A quiet father in the faith takes great care of his family. And you know, Joseph, this whole time, he's taking care of his family. You never get any kind of indication that he has any kind of care for himself. Not that he's like, well, I don't care what happens to me. Like, not like this, moping around kind of guy that doesn't care about anything happening to himself. He puts the people in his life, he puts them of more importance in him than himself. He's like, I have to get up right now, and I have to do this because my son's life depends on it. My wife's care depends on it. You have to do that. If you're a husband, if you're a father, you just have to do things like that. You just have to do whatever you got to do to take great care of your family. You take yourself and you set yourself off to the side and say, you stay over there for a minute. I've said this before to people, and I'll keep saying it till I'm gone. I didn't realize how selfish I was until I got married. You don't realize how selfish you are until you get a spouse. And you really don't realize how selfish you are until you start having kids. And God shows you. You have to take great care of the people in your home. And most of the time it means taking yourself, set yourself off to the side. I will set all of my dreams, goals, and aspirations in my life, I will set them on the back burner to raise up and highlight my wife and my children, to make sure they have what they need and the best for them. That's what Joseph did. A quiet father in the faith, he doesn't say too much. The next thing we can talk about here is we don't get a word from him, and I mentioned this a little bit. And we have to remind ourselves that as fathers, we have things that we need to say. There are things that we need to say. So it doesn't mean that we should never talk. But it does mean that when we do open our mouth, make it count. Make it count. So if you're a dad, or if you know a dad, or if somebody in your family might be married and they're going to have kids, like, this is for everybody. This is not, and this is great advice for not just dads, but you don't have to say too much. I can think about times in my life where I've regretted some things. And sometimes that's when I've regretted that I said something. And like you get in the car and you drive away and you're like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. You ever had that moment? Maybe not getting in the car and driving away, or maybe in the living room when everybody else has gone off to their own little domain in the house, and you're like, maybe I said too much. That's happened to me recently. I said some things, I'm like, And it wasn't like foul language or anything, but maybe I said too much. A good father knows what to say, when to say it, not say too much, but speak. And when he does speak, it counts. It matters. As I'm imagining Joseph seeing his son Jesus, and also Jesus had younger brothers in the house. I can imagine them growing up, and I could imagine conversations with Joseph in the house. And I wish I could have a sleepover when I was a kid over at Jesus' house, right? And look at Joseph, the dad. A quiet father in the faith teaches his children well. Teaches his children well. Should be number 3. A quiet father in the faith teaches his children well. So Joseph brings his family to Nazareth. And he does what he knows he can do. It's a carpenter. Builds things. And I don't know what tools they all had. I'm not going into a bunch of archaeological, research or anything like that to know what kind of tables and stuff that they could build. But I have a feeling that Joseph was probably pretty good at it. That was his trade. And I can tell that if he approached his trade like he approached his family, like he cares a lot about the things in his life, so he probably did pretty well. But then he taught Jesus how to do that. Jesus was a carpenter. Joseph is making something, and Jesus walks in the room as a kid, and he's like, I still have a hard time fathoming this, of like young Jesus asking Joseph, like, Dad, what are you doing? Well, I'm taking this table out of this piece of wood. And the whole time, what's true is that Jesus actually created that tree that Joseph is using as wood to make what. And so, I don't know how all the conversations went, but he taught his children well. He didn't make. What we don't see is we don't see Joseph making his kid some kind of superstar, like overinflating his kid to everybody else. You ever watch American Idol and there's parents that are sitting there so excited and they're like, he's going to do so great, they're going to love him, and they get up there and the guy's like, and it's so bad, and you're like, oh, it's so sad, they can't sing at all, and mom and dad are so excited, and dad's like tearing up, he's like, you're the best. Like, no, you have mental problems. Your kid can't sing. You've overspoiled this superstar in your house, and you've made a mistake. There's no way that Joseph did that. He's in this backwater village of Nazareth, having these children, living a normal life, teaching his children and Jesus' brothers the law. One of the things that we see, and we'll look at right now in Luke chapter 2, is that later on we find another little story tucked into the Gospels of Jesus when he's 12. And we don't have anything else. But we know that Joseph, it's important for Joseph to be the type of father that teaches that God's law and God's festivals and God's feasts and God's commandments is important. And he teaches that in his home. And he also demonstrates that in Luke chapter 2. Just imagine Joseph's reaction in this passage, because you see Mary reacting in the passage and you see Jesus. Just imagine this quiet, faithful father that we're talking about. Now, his parents went to Jerusalem every year for the feast of the Passover. So if you were a dedicated Jewish person, it didn't matter where you lived, you would go to Jerusalem for the Passover week. It was very, very important. And all the faithful Jewish people, they would say, all right, it's time to go. And they're like, again, we went last year. And it wasn't like their favorite vacation spot. No, it was overpopulated, overcrowded. Everybody was coming from all over the place. There were some people that, it was kind of crazy. His parents went to Jerusalem every year for the feast of the Passover, verse 42. And when he was 12 years old, they went up according to the custom, Jesus being 12. And when the feast had ended, as they were returning, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents did not know it. Anybody got any stories of losing your kid somewhere? We lost a kid in Disney World one time. It's okay. We found rain at the Dumbo ride. You ever got lost when you were a kid one time? Your parents leave you somewhere, you get lost in Walmart? One time I was a kid and I got lost in Walmart. I thought my mom left me. I ran up to the front glass. I was beating on the glass, tears streaming down my face. No! My mom was like, come here. Oh. Supposing that he'd be in the group, so they didn't know it, Jesus stayed behind, verse 44. But supposing him to be in the group, they went a day's journey. But when they began to search for him among their relatives and acquaintances, and they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem searching for him. Oh, where's the Lord? Like they lost Jesus. That was kind of funny for me. Verse 46. After 3 days, could you imagine if you have a 12-year-old son, losing track of him for 3 days? Man, that'd be... Yeah, the cops all over the place. Like I can't imagine. Like I've had kids that age. If I hadn't seen them for 3 days and I don't know where they were, that'd be terrifying. After 3 days, they found him in the temple. Right? Sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Well, that's great. He's okay. Whew. Jesus is fine. He's in the temple with the teachers, with the smartest people in the world at that time. And he's talking to them. He's asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. And when his parents saw him, they were astonished. What does that even mean? Like astonished for mom, I think is astonished different for dad. Mom's like, man, she's like, and you see, it's like, so they were astonished. And his mother said to him, so here is Mary, a person that Jesus created, fussing, rightfully so, with the authority that Jesus gave her. Now she's fussing at him with that authority. Son, why have you treated us so? Behold, your father, Joseph's probably like, your father and I have been searching for you in great distress. I just have a feeling that Joseph's sitting there like, you were more distressed than me. I don't know. I just feel like he was like that. And when he said to them, well, why are you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my father's house? Now I'm thinking Mary's maybe doing this, and Joseph's probably like, did you not know that I must be in my father's house? And when they did not understand the saying that he had spoke to them. And he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was submissive to them. And his mother treasured up all these things in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature. He actually grew. And in favor with God and man. And you know what we find later? What we find later in the life of Jesus, in the story in the Gospels, we see a few times that Mary is just popped in. She's kind of littered throughout a little bit, even up to the cross. We don't hear anything else about Joseph. It's possible, and sometimes it's generally accepted, that this might be, shortly after this, that maybe Joseph passed away. Maybe he died before Jesus even left home and began his ministry. Just sanding, just making tables and chairs, just hammering away, just doing his thing. Joseph, he modeled humility. He wasn't the type of person that's like, hey, look at me, listen to me, check me out. He modeled kindness, strength, integrity. He's this quiet father, and he displayed obedience when it's difficult. Like he went through some hard times. Just being a laborer in that day and time, taking care of your family, that's difficult. But not just the other things that he had to deal with. And so let's keep looking at this father of faith. And what else can we pull out of this? A quiet father in the faith is a man of sacrifice. He's a man of sacrifice. He worked really hard, and he did whatever he had to do. He's a man of sacrifice. So your kids, when they get older, and you don't need to expect this out of them, it really just should happen because you modeled, as a dad of faith, you modeled the kind of things that we see in Joseph, this humble strength, this integrity, just working hard, not trying to promote yourself, not trying to exalt yourself, not trying to get a break, and not trying to hurry up. So you, like, your kids, when they get older, they should look back and they should be like, wow, you know, my parents, my dad, they really did do whatever they could to make sure we could have everything that we needed. Because when they get older, there's been different seasons in my life where I wish I had a dad. Because I never really had a father figure growing up. But one of the times in my life where I really wish I had a strong father figure is when, you know, dealing with my kids growing up. And there's been times where I'm like, man, that would be really cool to have a great conversation with a great dad right now. I'm saying this to myself as my kids are getting older. And I'm thinking, and you look back, because you spend this type of, in life, you spend time like looking ahead. You're like, man, but then you come to a place sometimes where you look back and a person of sacrifice, a father that sacrifices for his family, they're the type of person when the kids get older, they look back and say, wow, Dad went without sometimes so we could go with. Dad didn't say, no, you're going to go without so I could go with. A quiet father in the faith says, I'm going to put myself in the back seat to make sure they get what they need. Make sacrifices for his family. I think it's pretty clear when you read and study the life of Joseph that he made sacrifices to make sure his family had the best. A quiet father in the faith is a man of resolve. God led him, God showed him, he just made up his mind and he went through with it. A father, a faith-filled father is somebody with resolve. It's not like, well, you're this way this day, and the next day you're like this, and you said this one day, but now you're saying this. You're all over the planet. You're like a snow globe, Dad. You're shaking up, and things are twirling around. And when it gets settled, things get twirled up again. Like, we don't know. But a father in the faith is a man of resolve. And they don't break under pressure. In fact, they're a man of resolve. They don't break under the pressure. They're strong under pressure. He rose up. He says, okay, there's fiery challenges all around us. We got to do what we got to do. This is what we're doing. And he moved his family. And he took care of his family. He just decided. God led him, and he did it. He didn't break. He didn't fold under pressure. He was resolved in his heart. One of the things that I wish more and more fathers today had is just this resolve in their heart that I'm going to walk with God and I'm going to do whatever I can to be the best that I can, because that's really what the people around me need the most, is for me to be a person of resolve. And some people break easier than others. And some people, I don't know if a planet falling on them would break them. They just have this godly resolve. No matter how hot the pressure gets cooked up, they're not going to break. I think Joseph was like that. A quiet father in the faith. He's a man of sacrifice, man of resolve. He's also a man of quiet faith. What you see in he listened to God. He heard from God. He received it. He trusted God. He obeyed God. So every male and female in this room, you need to be a person of quiet faith. But every dad needs to look at this and say, I want to be like that. I want to be this man of quiet faith that I don't have to have other people in my life that are always like, hey, man, so-and-so's back at it again. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that other people are thinking about, or and I know, look, sometimes people talk, but I want to live my life in a way that nobody ever is going to think about me and says, well, it'd be really great if he listened to God. It'd be really great if he, modeled a life of obedience. Now, I know if people aren't that harsh and aren't that judgmental, but maybe we should be a little bit like that to ourselves. And all throughout, even this whole last series that we did through Heart Path, of trying to find the center of God's heart for our lives, there's been a lot of times where God was bending us towards obedience, and we had to either be like, I'm going to kind of trickle back a little bit, my man, and do my own thing. Or we look at the Word and we look at the Bible, look at what God is saying and said, that's what the Bible says, so I have to do that. Even if nobody around me is doing it. That's just this quiet, resolved faith, listening to God. And here's some questions you can ask. Because God doesn't want to hide from you. God doesn't want to like fling you over there off to the side and be like, okay, well, I got a lot to do. I'm going to go over here. You be over there and stay quiet over there and do your thing. No, God really wants to be involved. And He wants to speak to you, and He wants to grow you. And I think every dad in this room, every fixing to be dad, every person that, male or female, you should ask yourself right now, are you listening to God? Are you right now, do you feel like God is speaking to you? Are you listening to Him? Are you hearing from God? And as you're hearing from God, is He showing you something? And are you walking in that? Are you taking that step of faith? Sometimes it's a giant leap of faith, but sometimes it's just kind of a little scoot. Because if you don't take a little scoot of faith moving forward in your life, you're not a quiet person of faith. You're standing still. A dud. And what we don't need is a bunch of duds, fathers, standing still in their faith. We need guys making steps, moving forward that say, you know what? I'm going to listen to God. I'm going to obey Him. I'm going to follow Him. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. Joseph trusted God. Joseph obeyed God. Joseph listened to God. Every person in here, you should ask yourself, am I listening to God? Because if you're listening to God, here's what I know. I don't know a lot, but here's what I know. If you're listening to God, and the greatest way you can listen to God is just read the Bible, God's Word. He speaks to us through His Word. If you're listening to Him, you will come into things that will grate against who you are currently. And as you get rubbed against whatever God's Word says, it's not like God's like mad at you and He wants to punish you and He wants to hate you and He wants you to be miserable. He wants you to be the best you can be. And as you're listening to God and He's speaking to you and you're running into things that you have to either be like, all right, I guess I'm going to obey God on this. It doesn't make sense. This might have some implications in this part of my life or this part of my life. I definitely don't know what I'm going to do with this or that, but I'm listening to God, and He's showing me this, and He wants me to obey Him, and I'm going to trust Him. And you know what happens? You break out of that crusty mold that your feet are in, and you start moving forward in your faith, just walking with God. I preached a message a long time ago. I think it was just called Walk. Like, what does God want from us? He wants you to walk. Please don't stand still. Some of you maybe have been standing still in your faith for a long time. Dads, what will be said of you? What will the people that are close to you say? What will your wife say? What will your kids say? You know, maybe one day we can talk to Jesus' younger brothers and be like, tell me about Joseph in the house. What was he like? What will your kids say? What will those close to you say? What do your coworkers say now? Do they say, yeah, what? He goes to your church? Or things will be said of you. There's a question that I have to ask myself sometimes, and it hurts. And I've talked to some guys in here before. I know me and Bradley have had a couple of conversations with this. And, at the end of a stressful day, or at the beginning of whatever, things maybe just aren't going your way. What I have to ask myself, and what you should ask yourself, dads, is in whatever moment, maybe you've had a long day at work and you pull into the house, and I've said this before to many of you, you have to ask yourself in that moment, what would a fantastic dad do right now? And that's not always easy. Because what a tired, worn out dad would do right now is go in, maybe even put his noise-canceling earbuds in, prop up his feet, be like, Dad needs to take a break a minute. Like there's some times that I've pulled up into the driveway. And look, ask yourself this way. Like, if you're a mom, ask yourself, what would a fantastic mother do right now? Because you can ask yourself that question in that moment, and you can give yourself an answer. Sometimes I ask myself, well, what would a fantastic husband do right now? What a phenomenal dad and husband, what would he do right now? And whoever that guy is, sometimes I'm talking to myself because my brain is always rolling. Sometimes that guy in my head takes on an imaginary fantastic father, and he looks at me and says, I'll tell you what he'd do right now. This is what he would do. As you walk into that house right now, this is who he would be. Ask yourself, what would a fantastic, fantastic dad do? Just long obedience in the same direction. Walking with God and fighting for the absolute best for his wife and kids. If you don't know the answer to that question, what would a fantastic dad do right now? What would a fantastic husband do right now? I think maybe that's a pretty good answer. Long obedience in the same direction. Walking with God. Fighting for the absolute best for the people in your life. It could be your kid, it could be your wife. Dads should be fighters. They should be tough. They should know how to fight for what's best for their family. So the best father that is anywhere in the Bible that could be found, obviously, is God the Father. In Ephesians chapter 1, verses 3 through 5, it says, Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us in Christ with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly places, even as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and blameless before him. In love, he predestined us for adoption. Earlier today, I think it was today or maybe it was yesterday, Cameron looked at my wife, and he sometimes gets, he said, you adopted me, huh, Mommy? Yeah. Yeah. I want him to grow up not thinking, well, I was adopted. I want him to grow up thinking, I was adopted. You guys, most of y'all are just bios. A bunch of biological children. But me, I'm different. I was adopted. We look at the beautiful scripture that says, hey, you were far from God. You were cast away into a tomb you were dead in your sin, and he made you alive in Christ, and he adopted you into his family. And everything that is his is yours. There's a great song, I think it's called Adoptions, by a band called Ghost Ship. It talks about like being adopted by this good father. And there's a line that says, when I met you, I didn't know you were a rich man. But then I realized you weren't just a rich man, you were like a king. So God is a good father, but he's a kingly good father. And you know what? Here's what's special about God being a good, good father. And we're going to sing this in a little bit. That he knows his children fully. Two things. He knows his children fully, and he loves them truly. Please get this. You know, as I see my kids grow up, there are things about them that I don't know. There are times maybe they're spending time in their room or whatever like that, and I'm like, I don't really know what they're doing. I don't really, there's times where they're like, well, you have a favorite show or a favorite song or something like that. And I don't know anything about that. But God the Father, he knows us fully, everything. You can hide from me. You can hide from the person you're sitting next to. You can keep secrets all you want from other people. But God knows you fully. And he still loves you truly. That to me, when I think about God being a father, that to me blows my mind. Tim Keller, who's probably my favorite preacher to listen to, he said, to be loved but not known is comforting, but it's superficial. To be known and not loved, that's our greatest fear. Somebody knows you, but they don't love you. So that's our greatest fear. But to be fully known and truly loved is, well, a lot like being loved by God. It is what we need more than anything. And it liberates us from pretense. It humbles us out of our self-righteousness, and it fortifies us for any difficulty that life can throw at us. Because God is a good, good Father. He loves his children. And he showed, we talk about Joseph making some sacrifices, putting his life off to the side so he could do what's best for his children. Do you realize what God has done? The Father, he gave his best, and he put Jesus off to the side. And he was crushed. His only son. So we could be brought in and adopted as the family of God. That's the ultimate sacrifice. And so when we realize that what God the Father has done for us, it should cause us, if we're in him, if we have been born again into the family of God, adopted into him through faith, then we should be like, I am fully, completely known and truly, entirely loved. And I'm that every day because of God the Father. And it only happened through what God did through Jesus on the cross. That's the gospel. That causes us on Father's Day to look around and be like, I want to be a better dad if you're a dad. But it also should cause us to look at God the Father and say, wow, you're a good Father beyond anything that I can imagine. So the question I think for all of us today is, well, we got a lot of questions maybe. If you're a dad, like, okay, take what you just got. Take what just rolled out. Do what you need to do with that. But maybe you don't know this reality of being connected to God the Father like this. Well, here's what I would challenge you with. At some point, please don't leave today without knowing for sure that you've been completely awakened to the truth of who God is in your life. Don't have any doubts on the way home. You can know, like, man, I got that settled today. And it will be an absolute joy for me to talk to you through this. Pray with you. We'll baptize you. I'd love to do baptisms soon. We have baptistry in there we can use. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to close in prayer. I'm going to leave a little bit of time just so you can kind of interact with God a little bit. What's he speaking to you about? Are you listening? And are you obeying? He doesn't want to just throw you out there by yourself. He wants to help you. And so as we end tonight, it's going to be a time of prayer. I'm going to get my guitar.